Hello and welcome to another fun-filled nonsense retrospective. I'm your host as always, Rick. Joining me equally as always is Devon.
Hello.
Today, we're finishing up Baldur's Gate 3. Before we get started, let's go with our good old time-honored tradition of the nonsense, asinine, hypotheticals. And what have you got for me today?
It's a pretty easy one. It's a pretty simple one. We now know that when we started doing the Baldur's Gate 3 retrospective, we didn't really know where Larian were going to go with it, if they were going to make expansions or do anything over the top with it. They've now said very firmly that they're not going to make any expansions and they're just going to complete the game, as it were, and then move on to other projects.
Mm-hmm.
As of recording, they have yet to expand on the evil ending, but we know that's the next thing that's coming because they've said it. Rick, what do you want to see them add to the evil ending?
If you're doing an evil ending, chances are you probably have Minthara, so I think there should be a cutscene of storming Menzoberranzan, taking it over. Otherwise, generally cutscenes of taking over different places and, you know, saying either in my name or in Baal's name or praise the Absolute and all that.
Well, there'd be no praise the Absolute. The Absolute is you.
Yeah, because that's it, isn't it? It's in my name or in Baal's name.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just seeing the reach that you have now been able to achieve, pretty much. Ideally with your paramour at your side, such as they will be after having been, you know, enslaved to you. Although it would be interesting to see if you are able to leave the throne, as it were. Like, I'm hoping that you can, but otherwise, what's the point in ruling everything if you're stuck on a chair?
Well, obviously, if you're a Baal spawn, it's implied that you're killing everything, so therefore it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Like, I think the implication is also that even if you do have to stay on the chair, then you can just, like, hijack one of your followers and just experience the world through them for a little bit and then just let them go. But yeah, what would you do with the same question? With the how would you expand the evil ending?
Yeah, I don't need to see any cutscenes of people getting overthrown or anything. I think they should literally just do what they did with the good ending and fast forward to... It wouldn't really be a reunion because no one leaves, but like you'd probably have a hub, you know, a castle or a keep that's just yours, and it's just the same thing of just like, yeah, like the only person that would have a strong personality would be whoever you chose as your love interest, which, let's be honest, if you're being evil and it's not Minthara, what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
Like, Minthara is your treat for being evil.
Yeah, even if you recruit her on a good playthrough, though, like, I've just gotten a cutscene with her where she does the, like, love confession, and it's like, you can have me instead if you've got someone else already, and you have to let her down if you don't want to break up with Karlach.
Well, you see, when my most recent playthroughs, were started on patches before that was a thing, if you get me.
Sure.
Like, they've fixed Minthara a lot on good runs, but she's still far from fucking perfect. It's like, all of the good Minthara people, the people who are doing good runs but recruiting Minthara, are just like, please fix this, and then Larian said, we're doing the evil ending first, and they all went, and it's like, I get it, but at the same time, fuck me, they've fixed all the good shit apart from Minthara. Let the evil people get some cake.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't particularly care for the evil ending. I felt awful the entire time through my evil playthrough, apart from the times when it was just so over the top it was silly and made me giggle.
Yeah, like, I think I've gone on record saying that my favourite way to do the evil ending is to turn away from it at the last second, because then, like, all your atrocities are finally your own, rather than just being Baal's. Yeah,
but the problem is doing that, if you do it after you've already accepted Baal's blessing from the temple and doing all the slaying shit, that's a very bad ending for your character.
Sure.
Have you seen what happens?
No.
The game makes you piss yourself, literally, and it's very much implied that you are now just a mindless servant of Baal incarnate, and he makes you fuck a bunch of gnolls.
Oh, fair.
Like, it's actively a bad decision to... Like, if you decide to turn away from Baal, do it before you accept his blessing and become his proper champion, because otherwise your character actively gets fucked, because you've signed your soul to Baal again, and he has complete control.
Yeah, on that one, I think that's the one where my main character became a mind flayer because I couldn't see another way forward.
Okay.
So I think that kind of overwrites it. This is also the same file where I didn't have any inspirations left, and I crit failed a roll to resist eating Shadowheart's brain at the party at the end, so Withers shook me into the fugue plane. Thankfully I was able to reload that because it wasn't honor mode, but it would have been a really funny way to end.
Yeah, it would have also failed you at honor mode ending.
Yeah, it would have done. Yeah. It would have done. Because all you have to do is just choose to end the party.
But anyway, Rick, have you got a question for me?
Yeah, my one for you is, now that you've seen Baldur's Gate in its entirety, is there something from the tabletop game that you're glad is not in Baldur's Gate 3?
I mean, here's the thing, Rick, is like all the stuff I don't like in the tabletop game, I don't include when I run games. So it's kind of a weird question to ask in that sense, because I've forgotten the fucking, is it exhaustion? Like I don't use those rules because they suck.
Yeah, because I think the closest thing that got to exhaustion is like the frenzy strain, and that's just
no one ever plays a berserker, so I don't have to care.
Yeah, like thankfully they buffed berserker in this by giving them bonus action throws and all that, which like are actually good.
The only reason I would ever use exhaustion is if I ran a campaign that was hardcore survival, but I don't think anyone I play with ever wants to play that type of game, and that's just fine by me.
Yeah, like I can see a hardcore survival stretch being a kind of fun challenge to get through, but having it for the entire campaign wouldn't just be that great.
Like I'm not knocking people who enjoy that type of game. Like the rules exist so you can do that, and more power to you. It's just not something I enjoy. Like I've gone on record of saying this before, Rick, and you know this about me. The first thing I do that I don't think most DMs do, although I'm pretty sure a lot share the same mindset, is I can't be asked to keep track of your carry rate, motherfuckers. Here's a bag of holding for free.
Yeah. It rewards people for dumping strength, but other than that, it's not a big deal.
Right, it's one of those where, yes, I can make you all calculate your weights, but it's usually such a non-issue.
Yeah, and I don't think we've ever had a real archer either, so when I play an archer, now and again I just make a point of buying 100 arrows.
If you were playing an archer character, I would make you track your arrow count, but again, arrows are so cheap it doesn't matter. Yeah,
and buying 100 more often than you shoot 100 is probably fine.
Like even if you're playing like a fighter with 3 shots a turn, which if you're playing an archer, you're probably not even picking fighter. You'd have to do a lot of rounds of combat and never pick up your arrows.
Yeah.
Anyway, Rick, what about you? It's your question.
Mine was one of my favourite subclasses in the entire game, the Forge Cleric in particular. The way that it works would have been entirely unsatisfying with the kitchen sink of magic items that you get. Its normal benefit is giving yourself a magic item to the party that like otherwise needs it.
Do you want +1 armor at the beginning of the game? Well, it's fucking worthless in Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, +1 armor would be great for about 5 minutes.
Well, especially the way you play, trying to break everything.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I play honor mode in the most dishonorable way. But yeah, like finding one pet merchant that you keep knocking out and robbing is a not saying so much a legitimate way to play, but like it's in the game.
Just because it's in the game doesn't mean it's intended, motherfucker. Like, you can do what you want. Yeah. I don't care. It's a single player game. Go fucking nuts. But you know,
yeah. Like at that point, I'm on PC. I might as well just use console commands.
Like for real. Like the only person you're cheating is yourself. It's why, like again, because we're talking about a semi D&D related fit. Well, set in D&D universe, I am going to keep bringing up my DMing style, and that is like everyone. Here's the thing: is I don't DM for strangers. I DM with people I know or the people who are playing or know and trust. Right? And I used to do this thing where I'd have everyone send me their character sheets, and then I quickly realised how fucking pointless it is, because who the fuck cheats at D&D?
Yeah, especially when you're rolling online.
Right? It's just like fucking like no. I trust you guys to keep track of everything, because like at the end of the day, if you cheat, oh, it's you who's fucking up the experience, not me. I don't care. Well, I do care, but I don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wait, what are you gonna do on an online character sheet? Sneak in a +1 weapon that you don't have? Yeah, it's gonna get real obvious if anyone looks, because it's right there.
Like the only thing I ever worry about is people not tracking their spell usage, because I'm terrible at it.
Oh yeah,
but that's me projecting.
Sure. But yeah, Forge Cleric in particular as something that is good in the regular game, but would just be so completely useless and unsatisfying within the confines of how Baldur's Gate 3 works, which is a real shame because I really love the flavour of it, obviously.
I mean, I think they could fix that easily by just letting you add an additional magical effect to a magic item, which isn't how the Forge Cleric works in the tabletop, but if you wanted to make it not useless in Baldur's Gate, then that's what you do. The only problem is, because of the hireling function, it'd immediately get bent, because you just immediately hire a Forge Cleric via Withers and then have them do that and then never use them for anything else.
Yeah, the same way that you do with like Warding Bond and all that. You give someone infinite resistance resistance to everything, while the warding bond person just takes half the damage at Withers Camp.
Yeah, here's like the only thing I've ever used hirelings for is a free breakfast for Astarion.
Yeah. Yeah, free brekkie. And you can do that to a regular character as well, but they get angry.
Not just that, they also get -1 to all their checks.
Yeah, but you also don't have to do it on a character that you're using that day.
Yeah, okay, but I might want to switch to them.
Sure.
I probably won't, but that's not the point.
Yeah, who's going to use Danton once you've got Jaheira?
Who the fuck's Danton?
He's the best looking hireling. He's the tiefling druid.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about regular camp followers, Rick, not fucking hirelings, because you mentioned just eat someone you're not using.
Yeah.
Rick, what are we doing?
Yeah, today we're doing the finale of Baldur's Gate 3, and the way that we structured this means that we're doing basically the MSQ of Act 3. We're starting essentially from getting into the lower city.
Well, we've got two. Here's the problem, Rick, is we've got two distinct paths. We've got to deal with Gortash and we've got to deal with Orin, and both have something you have to do in the city before you can tackle them. Kind of. In theory, you can fight Gortash straight away, but you really shouldn't.
Yeah, and power to you if you are able to do it, because I don't think that you can without extreme cheese of turning your character giant and then throwing them off the building.
I mean, I'll put it this way, Rick. I don't like fighting one Steel Watcher on its own, let alone that many, while other things also exist in the world to fight you.
Yeah, that room's a pain in the arse even when there are no Steel Watchers.
Okay, Rick, there's an achievement in this game for getting to Gortash and beating Gortash without triggering any traps, and I don't know how the fuck you're meant to do that.
Yeah, neither do I, because these traps seem to go off out of initiative order.
Yeah, like, the only thing I can think of is the grenades they throw, they just mean don't get hit by them, but even that is an uphill battle, because you don't want to be picking up bombs and throwing them with your turn. You want to do damage or protect yourself.
Yeah, I think you might be able to do it with greater invisibility if they don't trigger at all, and just destroying each one before they become potentially a threat.
But the problem is that doesn't solve the problem of the 4 you have in Gortash's room.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can't go in there without starting any kind of conversation, really, because he just kidnaps you into a cutscene.
I will just say this, by the way, Gale using Globe of Invulnerability was my MVP in that fight.
Sweet.
Because those grenades were just not stopping, and it was doing my fucking nut in.
Yeah.
But anyway, we might be getting a bit ahead of ourselves.
You can make Gortash skip his second phase as well.
Can you?
Yeah.
How?
I stunned him. I stunned him and burst him down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I just never, I never got that lucky. Well, I gotta be honest with you, my hard crowd control effects are limited to what type of wall Jaheira can summon.
Yep. With this one, I stunned him, toppled him, did a shit zillion damage with Karlach, and then she got her revenge. He wasn't able to activate his second phase.
Yeah, and his second phase is probably the least interesting of the 3, but also the most interesting of the 3. And by that I mean, it doesn't look all that impressive, but the implication is pretty neat, especially the way that... But if you're going to follow one of the Dread 3, Bane seems like the guy to go for.
Yeah, because he can turn you into an ultimate version of yourself.
And also, he doesn't really just throw away his pawns. Granted, Merkel is a bit more protective, but he still just doesn't really care as long as he can do something with their physical being. Whereas Baal is just a bad deal. That can fuck off.
Oh, yeah. The only way to win with a Baal, as a Baal spawn, is to be the top one, and even then, you're still second banana to Baal himself.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah. So, this kind of starts in the upper city with Orin trolling you and going to Gortash's coronation.
Yeah, we did this.
Yeah. So after that, you get the choice, you get the offer of, do you take Gortash's deal of kill Orin, bring the stone back, and skip Gortash?
The best thing about this deal is, we'll bring it up again, seeing as we're talking about it again, is that even if you tell him to fuck off, he still assumes that the deal is on.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh yeah, and he just fucks, unless you actively attack him, but if you do that, you really are a fool.
Yeah. I think the only time he realizes that you're not going to kowtow to his request is when you go to the Iron Throne.
Yeah, if you go to the Iron Throne, he straight up messages you via, it might as well be fucking technology, but it's stupid magic, and he just says, if you turn back now, I'll pretend you didn't do this, but if you go down there, our deal is off. And it's like, bitch, we didn't have a deal.
Yeah, and one of the options is just fuck you, Gortash.
And he takes it on the chin. He just goes, alright.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure Karlach approves. But yeah, that's the first step towards dealing with Gortash, is getting some things out of the Iron Throne. And those things include Duke Ravengard, if he's alive.
Again, we've spoken about this, just fucking gloss over it. The Gondians are the important thing, and it triggers the Gondian revolution in the actual step that we're talking about today, which is destroying the Steel Watch Foundry.
Yeah, so the Foundry is... I thought the Foundry was really cool, because it was like the one time that you get forced to fight Steel Watchers.
It was interesting, but at the same time, fuck me, Larian, you need to fix your AI for this fight.
Oh yeah, the Gondians are not very smart.
The only one who has an excuse is the blind leader. Everyone,
because he can't see.
Yeah, everyone else is like just fucking stupid. I'm this is hardly a fucking unique take. People have been bitching about this since the game fucking released.
Yeah. Is there even an achievement for saving all the Gondians?
No, and thank fuck.
Yeah, because it would be impossible.
The only one that's important to save is the aforementioned leader, the blind one. He's a bit sad that you couldn't save everyone. And it's like, fuck them. Like, if they're stupid enough to run into a fucking explosion, fuck them.
Yeah, you ran into a sword. What did you expect? Yeah, Xana Tubin is, he's a cool guy, and he does know the way to make the Foundry go off. But it does make you think, for people who are not absolute cultists, how anyone would allow this to happen, because once you see the end of the Steel Forge, it's just at the end of the Foundry is all just like biotech just integrated into the walls and stuff.
I gotta be honest with you, I kind of glossed over that. I didn't realise. I was too busy trying to not die.
Yeah, well, once you've dealt with the boss, which, by the way, is an upgraded Steel Watch tank, you're not really on any kind of timer or anything.
No, so I understand that, but I just didn't think to look around the room. I was just like, oh, fuck me, I beat it, because I took a pummeling in that fight. I was like, I beat it, let's blow this shit up and get the fuck out, because I didn't talk to the Gondian bloke about the safe way of shutting down. I told him, I've got a bomb, and the guy was like, oh, cool, could you plant it in the middle of the Foundry for us? I was like, yep, can do.
Well, even if you get him to do it, you still get pretty much the same cutscene of running away as it all blows up.
I kind of assumed.
Because he speaks the true name of Gond and it explodes.
But yeah, the thing that baffles... Well, I say it baffles me. It annoyed me a little bit, is that you finally saved all the Gondians, and the moment you're outside, it's like, oh, here's fuckwit Magoo.
Yeah, and you can only get a good resolution for everyone if you've managed to bring Barkus Root all the way through.
Hey, fun fact. I've gotten to the city again on a good playthrough where I do have Barkus alive, and I had the little chat with him in the Iron Hands room. But in my completed game where I actually did this, Barkus didn't die. I just didn't talk to him in the Underdark because I didn't know he was there. So he didn't make it this far in my game, at least, again, the game that I finished the game on. So it was just me telling fucking, what's his name? Wulbrum?
Yeah, Wulbrum Bongle.
Yeah, Wulbrum. Basically just telling Wulbrum to fuck off. And he's like, oh, and then he storms off.
It's a lot like Farnsworth, isn't it? It's like, ooh.
Yeah, so obviously I've not done this with Barkus, but I've been told that if Barkus is there, he basically peacefully resolves it and becomes the new leader of the Iron Hands.
Yeah, and it's kind of amusing the way that Wulbrun's main beef with the Gondians is, yeah, you've been working with baddies this entire time, and if we let you live, then you're just going to go work with baddies again, when it was the Iron Hands who were working with baddies in every other Baldur's Gate.
Well, again, I didn't know that particular nugget of information, but it's one of those where I think it's really tough to kill, unless you're a dickhead. If you're playing a dickhead, then fair enough, whatever, do what you like here. But if you're playing a good character, the moment you realise the only reason the Gondians are doing what they're doing, at least in the sense that they're aiding Gortash, is because half of their relatives are being kept in a super secret underwater prison.
And the ones that are in there are also kept with an exploding slave collars.
The thought of then going, yeah, we should genocide these people is a ludicrous one.
Yeah. Although, on my evil playthrough, there was only Xana Tubin left alive, and it was just as easy just to get rid of him than to try and passive speech check.
but in my evil playthrough, Rick, I was helping Gortash, so I didn't go down there. Fuck them.
Sure.
Like, it makes me, like, why the fuck are you blowing up the Steel Watch Foundry if you're playing an evil character?
Yeah, fair enough. My evil playthrough was my first one, essentially, so I didn't think that Gortash's offer was in any way genuine.
Okay, let's talk about this then, because we did this really arse backwards, because we did the fucking, kind of talked about the fight already. But after you disable the Steel Watch, obviously Gortash's boss fight becomes significantly easier. But you can legitimately just not do a boss fight with Gortash, because if you take his offer is legit, as long as you're not a massive pussy.
Yeah, whereas Orin's offer is kind of the opposite, in that she tells you, go kill Gortash, and I will choose not to kill the party member that I've abducted. But even if you get there, she still doesn't kill the party member that she's abducted unless you dare her to.
I was going to say, though, because Orin's offer isn't the same as Gortash's. Orin's always going to fight you, and she says as much. She says, get Gortash's Netherstone, meet me here, and then we'll fight to the death over the stones like a bunch of fucking chimps.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the thing about Gortash is, obviously in any run where I've got Karlach, which is most of them, I'm never going to side with Gortash. And we touched upon this last time as well, but it's worth mentioning. When Gortash tells Karlach that he did what he did to make her stronger and better, I 100% believe Gortash means that. From his point of view, that's what he did. He's a piece of shit and he's wrong, but in his mind, I understand why he thinks that.
Yeah, because his parents did the same thing. They essentially sold him for money because otherwise they would have all starved, and he became a more ruthless and resourceful person because of the shit that he went through.
And from a twisted sense of view, and even Gortash says the same, like, Karlach is so much stronger now, but obviously she's also now got an infernal engine for a heart and can't stay on this plane, but whatever.
Yeah, and 10 years of trauma of being in hell where you can't so much as close your eyes for a bit of rest for a couple of minutes without getting a knife in the ribs.
But yeah, Karlach has the most heartbreaking speech ever once you kill Gortash. I've never done this fight without Karlach in my party, so I don't know if she does the same thing if you do it off screen without her.
Yeah, I know that she gets like a -50 approval if she's not the one that gets the killing blow, because she treats it as her not being there for the fight.
That can't be true. That must have been a bug or something that they fixed, or a bug that got introduced with a new patch or something, because when I did it, I might have gotten the final blow with Karlach. I wasn't paying attention. I was fighting for my fucking life.
True, fair enough.
But it's one of those where she didn't disapprove, and it went straight to a dialogue of just being like, I can't quote it word for word, I don't have it in front of me, but if you've not seen it, I highly recommend YouTubing it, because the VA did a smashing job.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really heartbreaking, because she's going through everything, and everything was for nothing, because at the end of the day, she's still dying, and Gortash is just a piece of meat like anyone else.
And that's the real gut punch, because this is the first time in the game where she acknowledges that fact, because up until now she's doing can we just focus on the happy stuff? And it's like, yeah, sure, we'll do that, but like, we've got to think about a solution. And then it's one of those things in the game that still bugs me, in that there is no solution to this apart from take the go to Avernus with her ending, and then it's implied that at some point off screen you'll be able to fix it, but it's not very satisfying as a player for that to be the solution.
Yeah. And did we chat about that one Steel Watcher, by the way?
Probably not, because I don't know what you're talking about.
So if you take Karlach and talk to one of the Steel Watchers near the gateway to the upper city, it recognizes that Karlach has some Steel Watch prototype technology in her infernal engine and tadpole combination, and tells her that she's obsolete and should go to the foundry to be recycled.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. Which I thought was a fun way of acknowledging that, all this technology is linked.
I mean, yeah, you get infernal scraps whenever you kill a Steel Watcher.
Yeah. It's not until you kill your first one that you realise that, it is actually infernal iron. Mm-hmm. Because it doesn't look like it. It just looks like metal.
Oh, the icon looks the same, though, when you loot it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gortash, if you took his deal and you're legit, which obviously I did as a Dark Urge, because it was just me, Minthara, Evil Shadowheart, and Evil Astarion, yeah, you get to this point, you talk to him, you like, we've got all the Netherstones, and Gortash just goes, cool, give me all the Netherstones or this deal is done. And it cuts to your companion. I got it with Minthara, and Minthara's just like, if you give him all the stones, he's got no reason to keep us around. And it's just like, yeah, no shit. And so I'm getting ready to have to do the Gortash boss fight anyway, because I know regardless of what you do with Orin, you have to fight her. So I assumed the same would apply to Gortash, and I told him to fuck off, and he was like, oh, good, you're not a complete bitch. And then tells you to meet you at the docks.
Yeah, and I've seen the cutscene of this, but I've not actually done it myself, obviously. He takes the stones off you and tries to control the Netherbrain, and then the Netherbrain just, like, snaps his mental connection to his body, and he just dies immediately.
It's so unsatisfying.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, there's also a fun thing here, which I've never done, but I've seen it on the YouTubes, of if you take a swing at Gortash while he's waiting at the docks, you get a dialogue option, and one of them is to just go, like, this alliance is no longer practical, I'm dissolving it. But the top one is, sorry, my hand slipped. And, Gortash has this most shit-eating smirk, and then kicks you in the shin, and just says, oh, look, my foot slipped. Don't do that again. Honestly, look it up, dude. It's so funny. He's got such a smarmy smirk when you hit him and say, my hand slipped.
Man, it reminds me. Yeah, it's like on The Simpsons when they're in the Dr. Marvin Monroe's family therapy center. My finger slipped. So did mine.
But yeah, that is something you can do. But yeah, it genuinely surprised me in a good way that Gortash was up and up about his deal. I think it only makes sense to take this if you are a Dark Urge. Yeah,
because of that kind of special relationship that they had, and I just got that statement last night actually of. I tolerated Orin, but you I liked.
And it's very clear that Orin also just tolerates Gortash because that they had some sort of vow where Orin's not allowed to cut him up. That's the whole reason why Orin comes to you in the first place.
Yeah. And you even see her, like, struggling against the vow as well as she... she interrupts Gortash's portrait session at the beginning of Act 3.
Yeah, this fucking cutscene was so weird when we first got it. Like, just so out of place. Like, I get it, it's there to establish that Gortash and Orin's relationship. It has a purpose, it absolutely does. But at the time, I was like, why the fuck are they showing me this?
Yeah. Because you don't see a lot of things that a character isn't present for. Like, what else can you think of? It's when the Nautiloid is crashing and you see Minthara and Draw Ragslin. When the Night Song escapes and you see Jaheira go, oh yeah, shit's turned up for the good. And this, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm struggling really to think of any other times. The other times they made a bit more sense.
Yeah.
But again,
it's like story framing and like letting you know what's happening as a direct result of, okay, the Nautiloid crashing wasn't quite your actions, but it was, you were very definitely involved in the aftermath.
I mean, you pressed the button that made the thing crash.
Yeah.
So it very much was a result of your actions.
Yeah, fair enough. I was under the impression that it was crashing anyway, and it was, you just pressed the button to skip to the point at which it crashed and you don't die.
But yeah, speaking of Orin, shall we move over to her?
Yeah, sure. So there is a bunch of murders to solve.
You say solve.
Well, prevent or usurp.
Yeah, I prevented all of these, and even as my Dark Urge, I didn't prevent the murders so much as because all I wanted was a fucking hand. And if you skip ahead on the murderers list and try to kill one, it's very hard to kill a person without triggering the guards. And I didn't want to have to put up with that shit, so I just took your advice and followed him and did the fucking face sculptor man, not face sculptor. The guy who does all the fucking clothes, and I just killed him there, and I took his bag of hands. Unfortunately, you can't use Gale's hand because I really wished you could. I kept it the entire way through the game. I was like, oh, please
Man, it's so unsatisfying, by the way, if you don't get Gale out of the hole without with a skill check, because he just goes, I'll perish, and then that's just it. He's gone. No one else can get him out.
Yeah, you mentioned. Granted, it was off screen, as it were.
Yeah, it was off camera.
It feels weird saying that because we don't have a camera.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. Off mic. Sick.
Yeah. But yeah, here comes the a big reveal that I genuinely wasn't expecting, and I was shocked. When you go into the Blood Tribunal, Saravok is just there, and it's like, fucking, what? Didn't you get killed twice?
Yeah, not only that, if you do the right things in Baldur's Gate 2, he's like a party member who is not evil anymore and is broken free of Baal.
You say not evil.
Okay, he's still evil, but he's broken free of Baal, and he's just gone straight back to Daddy, and he is both Orin's father and grandfather.
Yeah, and that's not gross. Saravok's greatsword is a pretty nice fucking weapon.
Yeah, it looks cool, and it heals you when you hit things. Which is great.
This fight was a fucking chore my first time doing it. Obviously, as a good party, you haven't got a choice but to fight him. Well, I guess you could kill the fucking elephant, but they don't deserve it.
Nah. As much as they're a bit of a pain in the arse, it's still a good-aligned creature who has only ever done good-aligned things, if badly.
Yeah, they're very bad at their job, but they don't deserve to be butchered in a ritual sacrifice. Although the funny thing is when you step forward, because obviously I did this the evil way as well, because I was a Balspawn, when you go to them, they say, I've forgotten the exact words, but like, don't listen to this something shit while Saravok's right there, and it's like, you are in no place to make these insults, but it's funny.
Yeah. Apparently, okay, Valeria has very little health.
She's got like 9, hasn't she?
Yeah, so it's very difficult to do this. But she has a cycle of increasingly pathetic cries as you whittle down her health. And the only way to do this is really to have, like, no strength and to do unarmed attacks.
Right, so punch him, girl.
Yep, punch to death with any of the male characters, actually, apart from Halsin.
Well, assumedly you wouldn't have Halsin if you're doing this.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, all the other male characters have 8 strength.
And obviously not counting Minsk.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, I think he's only got, like, 10 as well.
I can't remember, to be honest, because he uses a longsword, so it really could be either.
Yeah, well, he's built like a brick shit house, but I think he's one of those where it's one of these stupid ones where they give him a dex build as well.
Well, because he's a ranger. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And even though ranger's main stat isn't dex, it tends to be the main martial one they use.
Yeah. Well, even then, I would say it probably is dex, because, they have wisdom for their spellcasting, but if you're a main caster ranger, then you pick the wrong class.
I mean, I agree with you, but I believe the emphasis is wisdom.
Sure.
But I could be wrong. I haven't touched a ranger for ages.
Yeah. Even if you are a Baalist, you can also still kill Saravok anyway.
Here's the fun thing, Rick. Saravok wished me good luck against his granddaughter Orin as the Dark Urge, and then said, come back and speak to me when blah blah blah, and we will bathe the city in blood together. And I went, that sounds cool. So after I killed Orin, I came back, told him about it, and he said, my blood boils with the need to spill more blood for Baal. I can't resist. And then I had to do the fucking boss fight anyway.
Yeah.
I was so fucking mad.
Yeah.
I really don't like the Saravok fight. It's bullshit.
Yeah. On the plus side, it becomes a lot easier when you kill his little shitlings.
It does. And also, I had the... Alright, the Baal spawn transformation is nothing to fucking laugh at. It's actually really useful.
Yeah, the Slayer.
It also helped the fact that... on that playthrough, up to level 10, I was trying to get the achievement for level 1 in every class.
Ah, yes, until I told you that you could cheese it, and you didn't have to do that anymore.
I was so bothered, though, Rick, because I was level 10 by the time you told me that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I mean...
I also tried to do it legit as well at one point.
It was really hard.
Yeah. You've got what? I think the best you can do is probably just be a charisma guy and have Eldritch Blast, and you're just a crap Eldritch Blaster because you don't have an Agonizing Blast.
Rick, that's what I was doing. Until I got the Slayer form, in which case I just turned into the Slayer in every fight, and it made everything significantly easier.
Yeah, and then long rest.
Like, pretty much. Like, you get so many fucking ingredients, you can just do that, apart from when it's red, but But even when it's red, like, the Kresh and Cazador's Palace come to mind, where it's like, it's red, you can't do a long rest here, but I can just leave the house.
Yeah, you can just leave.
And then, it's super not intended, but it's also like, there's no reason not to do this, because I need it.
Yeah. like worst case scenario, you can just do a short rest instead. But yeah.
But anyway, yeah, the Slayer form's great. It got less useful after you told me about that, and I just turned into a full-on shield, heavy armor fighter with Eldritch Knight, and so
okay.
extra 5 fucking AC whenever I needed it. I was a tanky boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, once you prove to Saravok or killed Saravok, then you can go to the actual temple where your party member's being held. And boy, do they frighten the shit out of you with power word kill.
Yeah, if you don't complete that bit in time, then everyone gets power word killed. By the way, if you go full on ball, you get power word kill.
I didn't think... I think I used it, but you have to... the target has to have less than 100 HP.
Yeah, so the number of things that this is useful against are frighteningly small.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think it works on Illithids, because I think they've got about 98 health normally.
Yeah, it just feels like such a waste if you chip away at someone's HP, because it's not max HP, it has to be current HP.
Yeah.
But it feels like such a waste if, like, you chip down, I don't know, let's say the dragon down to under 100 HP and then use power word kill, because it's like, well, I know I can do this without it.
Yeah, you've chipped away 400 down to 100, and you've done it in a round, and you're about to get the achievement for killing the dragon, and you just choose to finish it off with your cool finesse speech.
Oh, I wasn't...
the only level 9 spell in the game.
I wasn't talking about Answer, I was talking about the dragon on top of the Neverbrain.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's an achievement for doing that one as well.
Is there?
Yeah.
I mean, I must have got it because I killed it twice, but you sure there's an achievement for that?
Yeah, because you can just walk around it.
Huh, okay.
So it's there as something that you can kill, and I assumed that you had to. But no, you can just walk around it and activate the crown.
It dishes out so much damage per turn it gets, it seems silly to leave it alive.
Yeah, I get you.
At least to me. I don't know. But anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves a bit, aren't we? I don't know about you, Rick, but with that 8-turn, I think it was 8-turn time limit for the power word kill room, I was like, oh, I'm glad I got so many scrolls of Misty Step.
Yeah.
That made that encounter trivially easy.
For me, it was even easier because I normally use the half illithid transformation and have infinite fly.
Well then.
Like, I appreciate not wanting to do it because, the game hammers home how bad of an idea it is. However, it never bites you in the arse, so...
Well, except for the time it made you kill all your friends.
Well, okay, but that's because I turned into a full illithid because I didn't want to make... I didn't want to give the stones to the Emperor and one way or the other sacrifice Orpheus.
Okay.
So basically, because I wanted a good end for Lae'zel, somebody else had to become an illithid, and basically that's got to be your main character unless you do some jiggery pokery.
I believe Karlak's up for it.
Yeah, Karlak's up for it, but on my Dark Urge playthrough, she wasn't around for one reason or another.
On my Dark Urge playthrough, it was even worse, because that's the only playthrough in which I've actually bothered to free Orpheus, and I was like... Yeah, Orpheus, you turn into a Mind Flayer, the ultimate sacrifice for your people. It's not going to matter in about 5 hours, because I know I'm going to stab you in the back.
Yeah.
It's one of the more evil things I felt. Like, fucking... Alright, we're jumping forward a bit, but we're talking about him, so fuck it. I really didn't like Orpheus.
Yeah, like... It really rubbed me the wrong way where he goes, no, this is false. You should have jumped onto the blades of my honor guard. Then you would have at least gone out with some modicum of honor, and they would have freed me.
Yeah, fuck you, Orpheus, you little shit. I saved your life.
And also, no, they wouldn't, because if they were going to do that, then they would have done that, and they would have done it a long time ago.
Oh, it really bugged me. Like, don't get me wrong, it's... here's the thing, is I wasn't a defender of the Emperor, but I didn't get the Emperor hate until you told me that it's basically confirmed by Answer how much of a piece of shit he is. Because if you don't know that, the Emperor just seems like he's a survival of the fittest, not survival of the fittest, mutual survival at whatever cost kind of guy, which if you're in that scenario, I can kind of appreciate. Because the way I played the game the first time I beat it, he did me no wrong. Apart from the obvious manipulation, but if he didn't do that, I would have killed him on sight, and I know that.
Yeah, totally. The whole disguise of the Guardian.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this as well. He is such a fucking idiot when you free Orpheus, because you free Orpheus and he throws a bitch fit and goes, fine, I've got no choice but to become a slave again to the liver brain and serve them, and then fucks off, and then obviously he becomes part of that boss fight, and it's like, okay, dude. But it's even dumber, because 5 seconds later, Orpheus says, we need a Mind Flayer.
Yeah, literally. Like... if you'd have stuck around, he could have been the Mind Flayer.
The only thing I could see is I could see Orpheus not forgiving the Emperor for using him for so long.
Yeah.
But at the same time...
I get that.
Like, it's just so silly. Larian isn't perfect, and the characters aren't perfect. So, based on the characters not being perfect, I can give it a huge pass. But it does rub me the wrong way a little bit, and it does come off as super fucking stupid.
Yeah, a little bit.
Especially when Orpheus is like, I guess I'll go through the disgust of turning into a Lithid, because I'm like, I'm not fucking doing it.
Yeah. And his normal thing is like, oh yes, you, whatever reservations you have about it, just work your way through it in the next 5 minutes. Because it's gonna happen one way or the other, and then you go, no, I'm not doing it. And he's like, fuck it, fine. Just as soon as I was free, I gotta be slave to the grand design once again.
Yeah, but he didn't even do that for me. It was even dumber, because I never gave him the slightest hit. Were you already half a Lithid when you did this?
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be the difference, because I wasn't a Lithid at all, and he was just like, when I said, I'm not fucking doing it, he went, yeah, I kind of figured, so that's fine, I'll do it. And Lae'zel wasn't in my party, but I assume Lae'zel's got something to say if she is.
I had her in my party once, and I don't think she actually talked about it at all. The only thing she says is, we're here, we got the hammer, we free Orpheus, or I slit your throat.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Lae'zel, there's 3 of me.
Yeah.
The party likes me more.
Except maybe Minthara. I think Minthara really likes Lae'zel.
Minthara likes... Yeah, but Minthara was my paramour, so fuck off.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like, listen, man, if you're not going to get the Drissi, what's the point of being evil?
Yeah.
I'm not even lying. Like, the whole reason why is I knew there was something to Minthara, and Minthara is very much my favourite romance. I just wish she didn't have to be so fucking evil to get it.
Yeah, I get you, totally.
Although, if you said that you can proc her romance flag later on now, then I might try it, but...
Yeah, when I say romance, I mean the... just basically being in a romance with her, not getting the sex scene, because the sex scene is very definitely the one that you have at the Goblin Camp.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying, but like that's more important to me, is the romantical aspect. I don't really give... Like, again, I'll say this, the sex scene with Minthara is the best one in the game, but I don't really care about them, the sex scenes. They're there, they're nice to have. I'm also glad there's an option to fucking turn them off.
Yeah.
Like, I'm perfectly fine with watching a sexual cutscene or fade to black. I don't care. It's important to have a moment in the story that shows that, yes, these characters are in that type of relationship. I was okay with Dragon Age Origins when it was a literal cut to black after being in your pants for 5 seconds.
Yeah, and then in Dragon Age 2, when it fades to being in bed and Mera going, I love you.
Yeah, and then in Dragon Age 3, where you straight up get some tit.
Yeah. And everyone walking in on you and Iron Bull.
I see, again, I never romanced Iron Bull because I really don't like him in a romantic sense, but as a buddy, he's great. Really did. I looked up that scene on YouTube, and it's so funny when the third person comes in and Iron Bull just goes, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Like, it's so real.
Yeah, and what's her face? Not Vivian.
Josephine?
Josephine is making absolutely zero effort not to gaze.
Well, yeah, because, like, here's the thing, is, like, they said before Inquisition came out that they were going to make it impossible for certain races to have sex with certain races. Like, a dwarf fucking Iron Bull is unrealistic, because his cock is the same size as their chest.
Yeah.
However, fuck it, it's Magic Land, who gives a fuck?
Yeah, and they had that one intern who was determined to make it work.
I think it was just that, wasn't it? It was literally just that, like, the models would make it not, break.
Yeah, so one intern took it upon themselves to make individual animations for the smaller races.
That's a fucking crime, having an intern do that.
Yeah.
Having your interns do crunch is more bullshit than having your regular workers do crunch, which is already pretty high on the bullshit scale.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those that it wasn't going to be in the game at all unless someone did it, and I think they took it upon themselves to do it rather than being told, do this or lose your job.
Yeah, but no, fuck you, pay them, because an intern doesn't get paid, Rick.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like, that's all I'm saying. Like, if an intern went through all that fucking thing, like, fuck it if they're an intern, give them money. Pay them for their time. They just saved you a lot of work, time and effort and made a lot of your customers happy. But I forgot, EA fucking gutted BioWare's soul.
Yeah.
We were meant to be talking about Orin, weren't we?
Yeah. So the Orin boss fight has a bunch of Baalist cultists.
Unless you're the Dark Urge doing a one-on-one.
Yeah, if you're a Dark Urge doing one-on-one, it's... I think it's a lot more fun as the Dark Urge one-on-one, because...
it has a little more meaning.
Yeah. I can think the number of one-on-ones that I've done that, and the genie in the Wizard's Tower.
The genie?
You've not done the genie in the Wizard's Tower?
In the Wizard's Tower?
Yeah, in Ramazith's Tower, there's a secret room with a magic lamp, and if you touch it, then you go into the genie's lamp, and the genie gets to come out. If you have another character talk to the genie, you can challenge the genie to get you freed, but even if you do, that doesn't free you because it's the lamp that's cursed, not the genie. I had only one character available at the time because I only had one that was able to sneak past the guards, other than my main character who could go infinitely invisible. So I 1v1'd this genie with Lae'zel, and it was one of the most tense fights that I've had in quite some time.
So is it actually, what type of... I assume they've only got the one genie type in the game.
It's an air genie.
Yeah, I'm going to sneeze. It's that time of year, guys.
Yes, it's pollen time. I think it's the actual genie with the DJ.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, because there's only the one in the game. I would have been surprised if they modelled a Dao or an Afriti for Baldur's Gate, and that be the only one in the game.
Well, I think, isn't Akabi an Afriti?
No, he's a genie, but red.
Okay, he just is red. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
it's the same model, but it's blue.
Yeah, it's the same thing that you summon when you summon a genie.
Yeah. And he has a scimitar. I think the main reason I've succeeded was because I got him to drop his scimitar, and therefore he didn't have that to hit me with.
Yeah, but he's still got that fucking... If he's a genie, he's still got the blow attack, which is arguably worse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's definitely worse. But when he doesn't do it, then he's just punching you for D4 damage.
Well, fair enough then.
Which you can heal through with a potion.
But yeah, I love the Orin fight. I never did the series of... I say love the fight. I love the one-on-one fight. I never did the series of options to get it, but there is dialogue options where you can just remind Orin that, by the way, you suck compared to me. You're shit. And it breaks her.
Yeah.
Like, the most damning statement of all is if you talk to Saravok as Dark Urge, he reminds you a bit of how you were like. And it's like, this is why Baal likes you over my granddaughter, because Orin's all about artistically killing, and she thinks Baal gives a shit. But Baal doesn't care. Baal just wants you to kill as many people as possible.
Yeah, Baal just wants numbers.
Which the Dark Urge was insanely good at.
Yeah, incredibly efficient at. And as a canon default class of being a sorcerer, but also going through the trouble of killing a lot of people with their bare hands, kind of horrifying.
If you eat a noble stalk mushroom, I don't know if it's random, but I know for a fact that the memory I got as the Dark Urge was tasty babies.
Yeah,
and that made me feel. Yeah. It's the one thing that makes me physically ill. Like, hypothetical dumb bullshit in video games. It's hypothetical dumb bullshit. I don't care. The thought of cannibalism in any form makes me feel ill.
Yeah, and the fact that you can get the roasted dwarf from the Goblin Camp and the Dark Urge is the only one that can eat it.
I didn't know that shit.
Yeah, because they're accustomed to it. It's actually reasonably good healing as well. It's like 4d4.
Fuck off! I don't care. It's not worth it.
Well, what else are you going to do with it?
Not take it. Yeah, leave it. Like, unless someone was in a live or die situation. If I was a dead corpse, I'd rather it not be eaten by other people.
Yeah.
Again.
But then again, it's already cooked.
No, if it's a life or death scenario, then do what you want. If it's just for D4 healing because you're a psychopath, then fuck off.
4d4.
I don't care. Fuck off. Don't eat the dead dwarf.
Yeah. Multiple dead dwarfs as well, because you get like 3 bellies.
Go away. Let's move on. That's from Act 1. Oh, shit. Fuck. Yeah. I hadn't done anything on my laptop except for talk for an hour, so my screen just went black and frightened the shit out of me.
Yep.
Oh, goodness.
Orin, like all the other Baal cultists, has the stupid unstoppable stacks, which... if you're not doing the 1v1, you pretty much have to get rid of them with like magic missile, unless I guess they come back pretty much every turn as well, which is the pain in the arse.
If you're doing 1v1, she immediately turns into the Slayer, and she doesn't get those.
Yeah, and you're probably wanting to do the same as well. And it's just Slayer versus Slayer, and whoever falls down first loses because the other one can do the multi-attack.
Word of warning: if you turn into the Slayer, be very careful when you do that leap AoE attack.
Ah, yes.
Even if you're with your party, by the way, the entire time you're doing this fight, the victim that got kidnapped is still tied to the altar, and if you're not careful with your AoEs, you will kill them.
Yeah, especially if it's Yenna, because she's got, 4 health.
I've never had it been... It's always been Lae'zel.
Yeah, when I had a full party, it was Halsin, because I managed to... there are more targets than there are people that you can have up with you at once. Yenna is the failsafe.
I believe it's meant to go Lae'zel, then Gale, then Houselin, Sasmin, Farah, because they used to be exclusive, but obviously they're not anymore.
Yeah. So for me, it was Halsin, because I managed to get the rest of them to come along with me. So Halsin got kidnapped, and Yenna didn't have to eat her cat.
Oh, you showed me a screenshot from Halsin. They proper fuck with Halsin.
Oh, yeah. He, if what Orin says is true, which it probably isn't 100% true, but it's a lot easier to relay truth than it is a lie. They made Halsin go bent in the head and kill a bunch of people as a bear, and he's damn near suicidal.
It's one of those really rough ones, because it's like, Halsin is a good dude.
Yeah.
There's no other way of putting it. Halsin is probably the closest to pure good in your party. Apart from, even better than Will, because Will... If they had Will be, actually romantically linked with Mizora as they originally planned, rather than what they actually did, then Will would have been a bit more pure in a weird sense. Because, teenage dick gonna do what teenage dick do.
Yeah.
But because he literally sold his soul, and he didn't have much of a choice, but he sold his soul, so therefore he's more tainted. Whereas Halsin has only ever tried to do what's good, straight up.
Weirdly, I'd say that Halsin's kind of more neutral. He's more on the good side of neutral, but I don't think he moves far out of true neutral.
I'd say he's good.
Other than fixing his mistake, he's more focused on, the Grove and just being a druid.
Yeah, and druids are usually good. What act has he done that hasn't been to... neutral implies that you're looking out for yourself. Good implies you're looking out for more than just yourself. Now, here's the question, Rick, is if you assume that his Grove and his druids are just an extension of himself, then I can see where you're coming from. I don't see it that way, so we're fundamentally going to clash on this.
Yeah, I guess I'm more harsh on druids in general, as people who traditionally could only be within one step of neutral. They couldn't be any of the extremes, and the default was to be true neutral.
I don't see Halsin as true neutral, because if he was true neutral, he would never have left the Grove.
Sure.
But that's my interpretation.
It seems for about 100 years he hasn't, and that's kind of the thing. He's only been spurred into action very relatively recently. Because about 100 years ago he fucked up, and then the Shadow Curse came about, and he couldn't stop it. And he's basically done nothing to prevent it until you're around with him to give him some backup and help him out with it.
I'm going to use that fun turn of phrase of yes and no, because if you go into the library in the Grove, you find so many notes of him researching how to undo his fuck up. Just because an opportunity hasn't presented itself until now doesn't mean he's been doing nothing.
Yeah. But even then, that's in the purpose of preserving balance, which is what, in my opinion, neutral really is. You say neutral is selfishness, but I say the selfishness is the evil part, and I will say 100% he's not evil.
Well, yeah, no, anyone who says Halsin's evil is fucking fucked in the head. But again, here's the problem, Rick, is the D&D alignment system is fundamentally flawed because they define neutral as doing things for you.
Yeah.
Evil is just fucking things up, actively doing harm, and good is doing things for everybody. Now, I might be fucking wrong. That's entirely possible. You've done a lot more tabletop and D&D than I have, but when I read through the book, it defined, at least I recall reading, that neutral was you look out for yourself. Now, you could be lawful neutral and you look out for yourself in realms of the law, or you could be chaotic neutral, which is I look out for myself, fuck the rules. And then true neutral gets really fucking weird.
Yeah, true neutral is one of the hardest characters to make feel satisfying.
I mean, I don't see the point in doing true neutral. Like, if you're doing true neutral and it's not an NPC, then you fucked up.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Like,
not to criticize those players, but like, it can't be fun.
Yeah. Like, I always need to inject one of the axes into a character's characterization to make it feel worthwhile to me. Even neutral evil, like, at least there's something to it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's pure selfishness. You don't care about what's technically correct one way or the other, as opposed to the law axis. It's just for the greater me, as it were.
Well, again, evil is actively causing harm.
Yeah.
Whereas neutral is, I'm not actively causing harm, but I'm doing what's in my best interest. So that might mean I cause harm, but it's not my intended goal. You know?
Yeah.
Like the perfect analogy from an alignment shift is Han Solo is very much chaotic neutral at the beginning of Star Wars. By the end of A New Hope, he becomes chaotic good because he's starting to help the world in general. But fuck the rules.
Yeah. Absolutely.
At least that's my interpretation. But yeah, we've been speaking about fucking D&D alignment for about 5 minutes, and I'm sure so many people have turned off. But yeah, fuck Orin. Orin is the least interesting of the 3 antagonists because, of course, she is. She is a Baal spawn.
Yeah, like the most interesting things she does are when she fucks with you at the beginning of Act 3 by being random people.
Yeah. And even then, it's just like, it's not that interesting. Like,
yeah, like it works the first time. After the first time, you're just kind of, oh, this shit again.
And it really fucked with me because one of the people she was the Dryad that does the love test, and I was like, fuck you, I was having fun, Orin.
Yeah. So, with my latest playthrough, I'm making sure to get more Orins before I do the Dryad so I can have the real Dryad.
And here's the thing as well, Rick, you don't get the option to fucking take a swing.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense to not take a swing. She is pure evil.
Mm-hmm. And you're in the middle of people, and this person just erupted into Viscera as she transformed into her neutral state. And everyone can see this, and she's very obviously evil.
And even disregarding all that, Gortash wants her dead. If you started a brawl with her and the Steel Watch came over, fucking Gortash assumes direct control. I'm going to ignore this one.
Yeah. But, well, the Watch themselves can just help with that as well. As long as Gortash himself isn't doing the commanding, which even then, he's commanding you to do it.
Well, yeah, but you could say the same thing about Orin, because Orin makes the exact same deal to you. It's like, kill him for me, because I'm not allowed to.
Yeah. And none of her other underlings are strong enough to try.
But, like, her underlings are actively shit.
Yeah. Like, all they've got going for them is the unstoppable stacks.
And even then,
the aura of murder that makes you, like, vulnerable to piercing.
Yeah, and that's not because of her. That's because of Papa Baal.
Yeah, it's just Baal aura making them, like, really good at murder. So yeah, once you've got both Netherstones, it's time for the end game.
Yeah, so the end game is... Well, first things first, you got to go sort of do a weird side path from the Baal Temple. You fight a new type of mind thing. Oh, what the fuck are those things called? The walking brains.
Oh yeah, the Intellect Devourer. Yeah, it's a more powerful one that explodes into brine.
Yeah, and they fucking suck because the first time I fought this, I didn't know they did that.
Yeah.
So there's
about 15 of them and about 100 brains. So yeah, bring AOE.
Well, not this first stretch. This first stretch is only like 12, but yeah. This first stretch is basically your warning for, hey, if you don't have a wizard or someone able to like do a circle of damage, maybe put one in your party.
Yeah.
Like Gale's standing right there, and he needs to impress Mama Mistra.
Yeah.
But yeah, we touched upon it earlier, but if you did the deal with Gortash, you actually meet Gortash, and he's like, yeah, let's do this, and he gets impatient during your chat with the brain, and the brain fucking fries him for it. And again, showing the importance of your character if you're the Dark Urge, because the brain shows you a weird amount of respect if you're the Dark Urge, almost as if she's scared of you.
Yeah, but also, she's been focusing on you this entire time. The brain shows you a couple of things, like who do you think let that one escape when referring to the Emperor?
Yep.
And just revealing that the brain knew about a lot of things and was treating you as its key to freedom.
Yeah, the brain's been playing 5D chess.
Yeah.
You get a bunch of...
The brain ain't no dummy.
You get a bunch of checks here. A few. You're not going to make any of them. But the final check, the one that requires a 99, Again, you got a 1 in 20 chance of getting it in theory. If you do, it reduces the max HP of the brain in the final fight, but it's by no means a requirement.
Yeah. It's and you get an achievement for it as well, I believe.
No.
Do you not? Okay. I think it's pretty much the last time you get to use inspiration as well, apart from if you are a mind flayer and are going to try to resist eating someone's brain at the Withers party.
Fair enough. But yeah, you do that. The Emperor retreats and saves you. Retreats. We spoke about this a bit earlier, but when he retreats you back into his mind palace artifact bullshit, he says, "You need to be mind flayers to play chess against blah 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 blah." And I exaggerate a little bit, but fuck, his conversation's boring. And he basically says, "You need to turn into a mind flayer if you hope to defeat blah blah." And you go, "I'm not doing that." And he goes, "Fine, I guess I'll help you, but I need more juice." So then he will eat Orpheus's brain unless you free Orpheus, and then Orpheus is like, "Oh yeah, this just sucks for all of us, doesn't it?"
Yeah. If you attack one of the crystals while he's there without even talking to him about it, he just interrupts you and goes, "We're done," and then leaves.
Fair enough. I didn't know he did that.
Yeah. Or rather, yeah, that's what the Emperor does anyway.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, Emperor has his bitch fit. You get thrown pretty much into a bunch of fighting, and at this point it becomes the end of Dragon Age Origins.
Yeah. You can summon your little armies after having your little council of badasses.
This council was very, 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 very small on my Dark Urge run. You don't get fuck all.
Yeah, like, what are you gonna get? Like, maybe Yurgir?
Oh, no, Yurgir died in that fight. I didn't know you could get Yurgir for the final fight.
Yeah, if he survives and is on your side, then he really likes you and he shows up for this.
Well, that's cool.
Auntie Ethel, if you slide with her.
I didn't do that shit. You know I didn't do that shit because I only recently found out about this shit when you told me on the last episode. Yeah,
so Auntie Ethel's there. But yeah, you can side with Auntie Ethel and she shows up. Mayrina doesn't show up.
Yeah, but she's still a sheep, isn't she?
Yeah, she's just a child still. The Gur, or Astarion's legion of vampire minions.
They're not even vampire minions, they're like fucking ghouls and they suck because they die straight away.
Yeah.
It's so... Getting Ascended Astarion is such a not worth it deal for any reason. Gameplay sucks. Story sucks. Why you do this? Because you want to fucking buff twink fucking daddy and fucking go watch porn. Like, fucking...
And you want to be a sub to him, yeah.
He actively looks down on you for that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, man.
You can get Zevlor and his Hell Riders, which I was not expecting.
Yeah, neither was I. Those are pretty cool.
It is cool. I don't know I can't remember because it's been a minute since I did my good run, because obviously I didn't have him in my evil run. But does Zevlor himself appear on the battlefield, or is it just 3 nameless tieflings?
I don't know, actually. I've not tried it.
I think Zevlor might appear himself, but it's one of those where you got to be really careful, because if Zevlor dies in that final battle, you miss out on the tiefling achievement.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Which is still buggy, by the way.
Oh, yeah. And you can call down fire from Voss's dragon.
Oh, cool, yeah. Alternatively, you can also cool down fire if you helped out Roland.
Oh, yeah, sweet, yeah.
However, Roland gets to do it once, and I was very annoyed because I didn't know he only got to do it once, so I pissed it away straight away, thinking it would reset by the time whatever second phase was going to be.
Oh, yeah, is that the button that you can press in the tower and it just, like, shoots into the universe?
What are you talking about?
There's a button like this in the tower once Roland's got control of it. And if you press it, it shoots some fire off into the distance, and then you can't press that button again.
Oh, cool. I wonder if you do that, it cancels his fucking ally assist in the final fight.
Yeah, I think it does.
Wow. Okay, that at least explains why you can only do it once, but it still bothered me, because I did not use it as effectively as I could have.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Rick, but I hoarded all of my allies until the Neverbrain fight, because I knew there was going to be a fight against the Neverbrain, and I knew it would be more helpful there.
Yep, same. I summoned a couple of them in the beginning, like when I had Ascended Astarion, I brought his minions out, and yeah, they were shit.
Yeah, they were shit. And I thought because they were undead, that means I would have gotten more of them later. Because again, my fault, I guess, but you know.
Yeah, and I used them because on my Dark Urge I was an Oathbreaker, so I got the aura to boost them. So at least they had some synergy with it.
Yeah, no, they all fucking died in my game.
Yeah, and they're not even. You can't even control them. They just go where they want.
Yeah, the same with all allies, though.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, it was very depressing on the Dark Urge run, because I had like 3 people show up, and one of them was Nameless Bowl Cultist number 1. I don't know if Saravok can show up or not. I'm going to assume not, but who knows?
And it's kind of funny when you just drop in a bunch of nameless harpers and stuff like that. Like, just these jobbers just show up.
But you laugh, but they're very helpful in the final leg of the fight.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Because honestly, I actually kind of liked the run up the tower, mostly because my first time doing it, it took me until one of the party members said, "Ignore everything," to realise that the fight wasn't actually a fight, and I needed to run up as fast as possible.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I did do everything down there.
No, I did everything down in the courtyard, but when you get to the tower and you got the fucking Nautiloid shooting it and constantly bringing reinforcements, one of your party members after like 3 rounds just goes, "There's no point in fighting, run!"
Yeah. The courtyard I did.
Yeah, courtyard.
Then, that one I ran past.
The courtyard feels like you need to kill everything.
Yeah. Although apparently you don't. You can just stealth past everything and just go through.
Well, that's something I'm going to keep in the back of my mind for the next time I do it.
Yeah, if you ever fancy playing a dwarf, just be a Duergar, because they can do invisibility as a cantrip.
Okay, I don't feel like being a dwarf.
Okay.
I like playing the tall races.
Yeah, well, I mean, dwarf is technically tall, if you go by size categories.
No. I mean, okay, if you compare a dwarf, I think that's because they're so fat, for lack of a better word, because they're wide. Because you look at a gnome and they're fucking tiny.
Yeah, gnomes and halflings, you can understand why they're small races, and then dwarf is just the shortest of the tall races.
Yeah, well, because like dwarfs are 4 feet.
Yeah, I think their rationale was more of a mechanical one of, we're not going to give them the small race debuff, we're going to let your dwarf have a great axe, because what's a dwarf without a great axe? A cleric is what they are.
But they can still only move 25 feet, because fuck you.
Yeah. They still move, they move as much as a small race, but yeah.
Yeah, I really, 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 really appreciate that they give you a blue Healy thingy right at the top of the tower.
Yeah.
Because it really would have been a pain in the fucking dick otherwise.
Yeah, to have no long rest before the finale, yeah.
But yeah, speaking of the finale, you go up, you're on top of the giant brain, and this entire time, by the way, you'll have Orpheus as a mind flayer or the Emperor with you.
Yeah, so when I did it, Orpheus was a monk.
He's still a monk.
Okay, yeah. So he's a monk who was just Orpheus, and I think he's like a 4 elements monk that's kind of toned down a bit. So my Karlach was just way better as a monk than Orpheus was.
Well, yeah.
Partly because she has gear.
But yeah, don't know about you, but I shit myself when I did this as the Dark Urge and had Orpheus as my Mind Flayer, because he died. And I was like, is that it? Is that game over? And I'm like, oh, thank fuck. He counts as a party member, so I can use my revival scrolls.
Yeah.
Because in other parts of the game with other characters, that doesn't work.
Including Jaheira.
Yep.
Yeah, I had to reload that because, Jaheira died. And since then, I don't bring Jaheira to that part, because even though she makes it slightly easier, she's a very fragile person to keep around.
I mean, yeah, she likes to cast Ice Storm instead of turning into a panther. Yeah.
Thankfully, last time I did it, she did turn into a panther and used that to survive the entire Zarel fight.
It might honestly be that a patch has fixed her.
Yeah, maybe so.
Because back in the day, she'd always open with Ice Storm, which is good. It's a big AoE, does a lot of damage, but it also has this really fun effect of leaving ice fucking everywhere.
Yeah. And if you don't have Infinity Dex, you're gonna fall on your ass and skip your turn.
Oh god, it's so annoying.
Whereas normally, in the normal game, when you fall on your ass, you just stand up with some of your movement and then continue your turn. In Larian games, no, you fall on your ass, you're done.
Well, yeah, like Larian isn't the best transition of D&D into computer game form, because again, you can only move 9 meters. Well, actually, yeah. I don't think 9 meters is 25 feet, but it might be actually thinking about it.
Well, it's about 30 feet, yeah.
Yeah. Ignore me. I can't. D&D uses feet, so therefore my default is feet.
Yeah.
Pretty much every war game does.
Oh, yeah, because most war games are made by Americans.
Well, also, if you're using D6s.
Yeah. So, things that have 6s work well with other systems that have 6s.
Yeah.
But yeah, the final fight, the gimmick is get to the brain, use the crown, channel it for an entire round, and at the end of round 2, you open a portal. Then you can go in and slay the brain.
Yeah, so there's a few things in the way there. You got the dragon, again, because I guess the dragon's here just because they're like, it's D&D, we have to have a dragon somewhere.
Yeah, it's Dungeons and Dragons. You can't have the final dungeon without a dragon.
Even though dragons really aren't that big of a theme in this game.
Nah, there's Answer, there's this one, there's Voss's dragon. Like, they show up at the beginning, but yeah, they're not really a thing.
Yeah, you got 4 Mind Flayers, just sort of on the outer ridge, specifically so you can't just fucking beeline to the point.
Yeah. And they seem to be basically there just to stun you and eat your brains.
Well, because I was being super cautious, what they were there for me was spamming magic missile.
Sure.
So they did that. You've got some, like, shadow...
Tentacles.
Before the tentacles, there's, like, some shadowy enemies that are, like, warriors, but not.
Oh, yeah, the Emperor... Well, okay, I'm saying the Emperor. When the Emperor does it, he summons what's implied to be everyone's dream visitors.
Oh, okay, but they appear even if the Emperor's on your side.
Yeah, fair enough.
So that makes no fucking sense then. But yeah, the Emperor is who I used my power word kill on.
Yep.
In my game, because obviously I was Dirge. And yeah, as you mentioned, one of the most frustrating parts of this map is everywhere you step, tentacles fucking appear.
Yep. Thankfully, they don't do a lot of damage.
But they do.
But they're a pain in the dick.
They do entangle you.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a fun time. And then if you don't get to the brain within 4 turns, you then get Nautiloids showing up to fucking shoot you as well.
Yeah, and also when you're through the portal, you got to pay attention because the brain has defense mechanisms, which is it will kill everyone on certain platforms.
Yeah, giving you another time limit, by the way, because it takes like 2 platforms off per turn.
Yeah, and I didn't know that it was doing this, and then when I went back, I realised that my other character hadn't had a turn in a while, and oh yeah, they're dead.
Okay, I can understand missing it, but at the same time, it does make the platforms bright red that are going to go away.
Yeah, but you're also on the same turn counter, so once you go away from it...
Sure, but yeah, this fight was a lot easier on my good guy run because I just had so many allies on the screen.
Yeah. Jump down, crit smite the brain again.
Well, again, it just meant that I had all of these blue summons that were, you know, I had Harpers, I had the Thieves Guild, I had the Hell Riders, all just distracting things while I fucking made my party go to the thing. Because your allies and your summons can't go through that portal. Only your player characters and the Mind Flayer that's assisting you.
Yeah. But yeah, you take down the brain and choose your ending.
Yeah, so realistically, there's some mild changes between certain things, but fundamentally there are 3 endings. You can save the city and save the world with the Emperor, you can save the city and save the world with Orpheus, or you can be a selfish prick and control everything. I haven't done this as a Tav, I've only done this as a Dark Urge and proper Baal Spawn. If you do it as a Baal Spawn, he goes, it zooms in on your character with your party clearly enthralled around you, and it just says, in the name of Baal, in your voice actor's voice. You said the difference between this and Tav is Tav says in my name instead of in the name of Baal.
Yeah. Also, if you're a Baal spawn who rejects Baal, you get the Tav version of in my name.
Oh, okay, cool. But yeah, that's that. That's almost certainly going to change because we know Larian's working on expanding the evil ending. I do just want to talk about the evil ending for a little bit longer because if you do this as a Baal spawn, you get the funniest bit of hypocrisy from Shadowheart because he's like, you shouldn't do this, and it's like, okay, little Miss Shaw.
Yeah.
The only person who doesn't seem upset by this decision was Minthara.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Minthara actively tells you that her intention, if she was the party leader, would be to wrestle control and sit atop the throne.
Yeah, but more importantly, like, she knows you're a Baal spawn and she's your lover at this point, and it's the moment where she shows she trusts you because she's the only one that trusts you not to fuck her up once you take over, because everyone else is worried that they're immediately going to get murdered.
Mm-hmm.
And as we see from the ending, like, he does keep you all alive. I like to think that he doesn't exert control over Minthara or whoever he chooses as his love interest, but that's being really optimistic.
Yeah, so on my Dark Urge, which is the only one I've actually completed the game as, I was the Mind Flayer at the end, and chose to end the threat and still stayed in romance with Minthara. So you get a nice little cooldown, pillow talk afterwards, and she's basically going, "Oh yeah, we could have had it all, but we got enough with just us. Except I have ambitions. We're going to go to Menzoberranzan and take that over in the future, aren't we, my love?"
Yeah, here's the thing: is there was a bit of a bug when they implemented some of this Minthara stuff, and that was that she super disapproved if you rejected Baal's offer and didn't do any of the Baal stuff and saved the world. And the reason why we know this is a bug is we know Minthara's morals, and Minthara knows what it is like to be enslaved and do someone else's will. And you rejecting it is not something she should be disapproving of. And Larry and even Strep said, "Oh yeah, we fucked that up. We put a 1 when we should have put 2 zeros."
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad Minthara gets sort of a good ending. I really do hope they expand on her a bit more in a proper good setting, because yeah, I want to romance the shit out of that aggressive, almost scary drow, but I want it to be a good way.
Yeah. You want her. You seek her approval.
I don't know, man. I've seen what makes her clap, and I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just a combination of, like, she's just so... Alright, she's incredibly homicidal, but she usually has a purpose behind it. And I'll just say it, man, I'm really weak to that voice.
Oh, yeah, she's got a good voice.
And, like, she is one of the more mature characters. Like, between her and Jaheira, I really don't know who I like more. Because everyone else in this game is so fucking young, apart from Astarion, but he's so not part of the world because of how he's been treated that he might as well be 12.
Yeah. Same with Halsin, actually. Halsin's also definitely over 100.
Yeah, but I mean, he doesn't... After the Grove stuff, he doesn't get a lot of dialogue.
Yeah, he's basically got the fixing the Shadowlands, and that's it.
Yeah.
I think the only thing he really does is comment on whether or not you had a one-night stand with Mizora.
Yeah, and isn't he just sort of like, you shouldn't have done that, but I kind of get it.
Yeah, I think he also would have enjoyed being invited.
I mean, like...
Because he's open to multi-way romances.
I mean, case in point, if you accept the threesome with the Drow twins, foursome with the Drow twins, you, the twins, and your lover, Halsin just goes, like, really sheepishly, like, hey, if we're just adding people into the mix, like, I'm here. Like, isn't the meme of, like, the actual kinkiest and the actual... the kinkiest according to the fans, and it's Astarion. The horniest according to the fans, it's Astarion. And then it cuts to the actual kinkiest, and it's Gale, and the actual horniest, it's very definitely fucking Halsin.
Yeah. Yeah, because Halsin doesn't even need Dutch courage because he doesn't even drink.
Fair.
Yeah, like when you get to the tiefling party, he goes, I rarely imbibe. You go and have fun.
Yeah. I do like as well that you can flirt super hard with Halsin, and Halsin's just like, I've just literally got free. We're good, bro. And later on, you can apologise. Sorry if I came on too strong. But you can apologise to him even if all you said to him at the party was hi.
Yeah. Hello. Oh, sorry, I came on too strong.
But speaking of parties, that's very much definitely the award that you get for being good, is you get the camp after all the... Well, let's talk about the immediate aftermath, because the immediate aftermath, there's a few things that happen. I don't know if it happens if you don't romance her, but if you romance Karlach, you immediately get the, this is it, I'm going to die. And then it's just like, let's just go to Avernus, hun.
Yeah, and Will comes along as well if he's the Blade of Avernus.
Nope.
Does he not?
He doesn't. If you romance Karlach, he doesn't come with you.
Does he not? Okay.
Like, because he doesn't need to.
Yeah. So if you don't, then he just goes with her. Yeah, apparently.
But that makes sense, because you don't want to send Karlach on her own, even though she's more than capable. Like, it's better to have two people.
Yeah.
And the other thing that happens is if you have Spawn Astarion, he immediately starts frying in the sun, and he runs away crying, and you can't really blame him. Yeah,
and until the cooldown party, that was also the last you saw of him.
Yeah, which, by the way, I can understand why people were fucking upset.
Yeah. You just goes, oh shit, no, not now, and he fucks off.
Yeah,
and I think Gale just goes, well, that might be the last we see of him.
For me, Gale said that's not the last we'll see of him, I'm sure. Which,
okay, it might have changed.
Or it might have just been I had different levels of approval with Astarion than you did.
Sure.
But yeah, speaking of Gale, you also get Gale looking out at the sea and going, I really need to get that crown for Mystra.
Yeah.
Alternatively, you can also have him going, I really need to get that crown so I can become a god.
Yeah, apparently that's the secret extra ending for Karlach.
What?
You get God Gale in romance with Karlach, and Gale turns Karlach into a god, and it avoids her heart issues.
Here's the thing, though, Rick. Here's another reason why the heart issues really fucking bug me, especially as someone who romances the shit out of Karlach because she's adorable and the best. Fuck you.
Yep.
Apart from Minthara, who I've quickly grown to love more, but. This is set in D&D world, and we just saved Baldur's Gate / kind of the world. There are so many options to fix this issue, and the game just doesn't give you any of them.
Yeah. And also the fact that true resurrection brings you back with all your organs. So Withers can just do it at will, and he's just chosen to bring her back the way that she was rather than the way that she could be.
Like the only workaround for that is if, because Zariel is Zariel, she did something fucky wucky, so if she ever gets resurrected, she gets resurrected with the parts. But even still, there's so many solutions we can think of. But no, the only solution is go to Avernus with Karlach, and that was the cutoff before the camp, which obviously I never beat the game until the camp reunion was introduced. And when you go to the camp reunion with Karlach, you jump out of a portal, and Karlach just goes, "Well, shit, Withers wasn't lying."
Yeah. I mean, my personal headcanon is, you've got the House of Hope. Like, you've got a cool base that you can now just defend and have as your home.
Oh yeah, but that's not what happens.
Oh yeah, something else bigger and better will move in on it.
I mean, no, Karlach straight up tells you what you've been doing, and that is you've been constantly running, for however long. Like, it's implied to be. The timeline's funny, but in some instances, it's implied to have been years.
Yeah, I think it's like multiple months.
Yeah. So yeah, speaking of the party, you learn that you've been ducking and diving with Karlach. You've barely slept, but you're also in hell, so you kind of don't need to. When you talk to Karlach at the party, she straight up says, "Okay, listen, that basically tells you about this cool adventure you had off screen of XYZ who told us about YZW. Well, guess what? If we do that, I think I might be able to fix my heart problems and we can come back all good." And it's like, cool, can we kiss now? It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
If you talk to Shadowheart at this party, she has the best joke in the entire game, because you can talk to her and you say something along the lines of, "Yeah, we should get together more often." And she goes, "Yeah, how hard can it be to assemble 6 to 7 people every so often to do something?" And it's like, all right, yeah, okay, we've all played D&D, shut the fuck up. That's clearly what they're referencing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Nice bit of fun there.
Yeah, it's great. She also talks about the horrible camp meals that you've had during your adventure, including, do you remember that one time when we ate nothing but 5 apples and 10 fish? And it's like, oh yeah, we do that shit at the beginning of the game, don't we?
Yeah. And the achievement for having a long rest on nothing but alcohol.
Yeah, it's called a dwarven dinner.
Yep.
Which is now more annoying, because if you do that now, after they've patched it, you get the hungover status effect.
Oh boy,
which,
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, it didn't used to be a thing, but they added it in the game specifically, and it's like, oh cool, fuck you.
Well, there's also that one club that you can equip. I think it's the Punch Drunk Bastard, and you equip it, and then if you just drink some alcohol and get yourself drunk, it just gives you bonuses.
Sure. I mean, that's an item in the tabletop as well. It's like the alcoholic's locket, and it means every time you drink beer, it's treated like a potion.
Yeah. So Lae'zel pops back. Because I did the Orpheus thing, she was a apparition.
Sure.
So she was like an astral projection of the real Lae'zel.
She was also that for me, despite doing it with the Emperor, because even though Orpheus didn't make it, she still fucked off to space to try and help Voss rally troops basically to his cause, but without the Orpheus flag.
Sure, okay.
Although I'm told that they've changed it now. Obviously I've not done it, but if you're in a romance with Lae'zel, then she comes back to the party and you can fly off to space with her on a dragon.
Oh, cute.
I don't know if that's real, or if that's some sort of fan fiction someone wrote, but they put it in a thread where they seem to just be talking about ending shit, so I don't know.
Yeah, I can see that feeling satisfying.
Certainly more satisfying than what the romances get at the moment.
Yeah. I can't remember any of the other ones, because I've only done the ending with certain characters, so I've not done it with Gale, I've not done it with Will, I've not done it with Karlach yet.
Okay, so Gale, obviously you've got the God of Ambition ending, but I didn't do that. If he makes up with Mistra, which he did in my game, he is straight up just a teacher in Waterdeep, and his cat's there with him. It's not his cat, it's Tamarsin.
Tara the Tressum, yeah.
You talk to Gale, and Gale's like, "Oh, you know what? Should probably give a guest lecture sometime." By the way, all the characters mention the fact that you're in Avernus with Karlach. By the way, if that's what you're doing, which obviously they could do because they brought all the voice actors back specifically to record a bit more dialogue.
Yeah. So like hundreds of lines just for different permutations of the world state.
Yeah. So that's what Gale does. He's like, you should do a guest lecture at Waterdeep. If you talk to Masserin, she's like, oh, by the way, Mr. Decarius, if he hasn't thanked you properly, allow me to do it on his behalf.
Aww.
Well, because, again, the only reason why Gale got it so sweet is because Gale was convinced by you not to stab Mister in the back.
Yeah, totally.
Go on.
Yeah, so I had ascended Astarion, so he basically just came down from his perch upon the, essentially the top of Baldur's Gate. Like, he doesn't control everything, but he controls a hell of a lot of Baldur's Gate from the shadows now.
He doesn't even need to do it in the shadows, though, does he? Because he's immune to sunlight now.
Yeah. But even then, he prefers doing it from, like, as a puppet master rather than being out in person all the time.
That's fair. Obviously, I had non-ascended Astarion, and what he's been doing is basically doing what the Emperor was doing. He's skulking around the streets of Baldur's Gate and basically feasting upon ne'er-do-wells and criminals, although what his standards for that are unclear. He also mentioned that he popped into the Underdark and said the vampire spawn are doing weirdly well.
Yeah, apex predators of of the horrors of the Underdark.
Yeah, I mean, it's all relative because, let's be honest, like, all they need to do is encounter one beholder and that's going to change quick.
Yeah, like, we didn't do well against the Gazer or the Spectator, like, unless you're, like, prepared. Going against an actual beholder, oh no.
Yeah, you got Jahiru and Minsk. Minsk is Minsk and does Minsk things. I didn't really do anything with Minsk in my game other than recruit him, because by the time I recruited him, there was fuck all left to do. Jahira is just happy to be there, really.
Yeah. Happy to have reached the end of a third game.
Yeah. I wish we could do things with Jahira, but I understand why we can't. We've got the Bard who is constantly playing. If
you pass a history check, it turns out he's like a minor god that's been forgotten.
Yep, and he is based on the sound designer for the game. Not sound designer, the guy who did the music.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
So that's why he looks like he does and why he sounds like he does, because he's that. You have a chat with Will. He's still the Blade of the Frontiers in my game. And you talk to him and he goes, so how are you doing now that you're not a warlock? And he went, oh, it's cool. I did like 2 seconds of training and now I'm a ranger, and it's basically the same thing. I went, and it's like, it's not, but I get why people think that.
Yeah. Charisma Ranger.
Like, for real. He is just, basically, he's like, I'm still a sword person with a bit of magic, but my magic doesn't come from Mizora.
Yeah, fair enough.
Obviously, I didn't get Minthara in my game. You've sort of spoken about what she wanted to do. She joins the party and it's like, so when we go into so-and-so to fuck up my old friends?
Yeah, and when you're at the party, she's basically like, we are here. Spend the requisite amount of time so we can leave.
This is the signal. If I do this signal, it's time to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you obviously wrap everything up by talking to Withers, and Withers is Withers and does Withers things, and if Withers isn't literally meant to be Jurgle, then they fucked up.
Yeah. It's possible that he's just an avatar of Jurgle, but even then, that's basically the same as being the god.
Like, for real. Like, case in point, like, even if you're as God of Ambition Gale, if you fuck around at the party, Withers literally just has to wave his hand and you fuck off. That's how powerful he is.
Yeah. Withers can send a new god straight to the fugue plane.
Yeah, which isn't much of an issue for a god, but is going to be more of a roadblock than not at all.
Yeah. You spoiled my party. Begone.
Like, it's literally basic. Withers is Jurgle's attempt at being like, I need to solve another problem by these fucking assholes I made a deal with. Like, they had one job and they keep fucking it up.
Yeah. They're like the Three Stooges of bad guy gods. You know?
Like, the only one who I think Jurgle shouldn't have any actual beef with is Bane, because Bane's a piece of shit and evil, but he's not trying to destroy the entire world like Merkel and Bolar.
Yeah, like he's taking tyranny and doing it correctly.
Like, for real.
For most people's definitions.
I still love the lore of the reason why these three exist is because they basically went up to Jurgle and said, hey, can we do XYZ because we're so strong now? And Jurgle was like, oh, I get to do less work? Cool, piss off then.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, he was lazy.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And again, the reason why I say this is Jurgle's attempt at doing it while skirting around The whole reason why Mystra and other gods don't directly interfere is because apparently Ao will get pissed.
Yes.
So this is Jurgil's way of basically being like, I'm going to help, but in the most indirect way possible, by putting all my money on this one adventuring party of weirdos.
Yeah. And he does give you, like, a more than fair amount of help. Like, the amount of things that he does, as in true resurrection for a pittance of coin, and being able to reclass your entire character are more than you normally get from a DM.
And to infinitely recruit NPC helpers, which, by the way, again, I love the first time I spoke to one, and it's just Withers talking to you through them, and it's like, fucking what?
Yeah, it's the Tav's voice actors just using Withers' syntax.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we need to talk about this party? Like, yeah, again, you talk to Karlak and she does Karlak stuff and says, this is how we solve my problem off screen because Larian hates us. Yeah.
Minsk and Boo do the Minsk and Boo thing. Minsk has got a new recruit, by the way, that he found in Baldur's Gate.
Oh.
I think he's like a halfling rogue that he found, like, robbing somewhere, and he held him up by his trousers upside down for the longest time while he was teaching this guy about the virtues of not being a bastard, and dragged him along to the party to show him what real heroes look like.
Right, okay. He didn't do that in my game, but it might be because I didn't have a high enough approval with him.
Yeah, I had him not join the Thieves Guild, but kind of work alongside them as a recruitment/training consultant.
Yeah, so yeah. This is what I did in my most recent game, which I've not finished, where I brought Minsk along for that conversation, and he has the chat with Nine Fingers, and Nine Fingers like, I used to idolize you as a hero, you know, and Minsk is like, then why are you not so hero-y? And then Minsk basically does the Minsk thing of bullying his way in the nicest way possible into being in a partnership, and Nine Fingers Keen is just like, I didn't fucking agree to this. Jaheira, do something. And Jaheira's like, the fuck do you want me to do?
Yeah. Yeah, Minsk's mental gymnastics are a bit 1-2, miss a few, 99-100 in certain situations, but in this case it's very well, I accept your proposal, and I'm thinking like, that wasn't even remotely what I was talking about, but if it means that we're not enemies anymore, then sure.
Yeah, little did she know that the Thieves Guild will no longer thieve and be proper heroes.
Yeah, it's now just, well, it was always just being called the Guild, but as far as Minsk is concerned, it's now a barbarian clan hall.
I guess, even though he's not a fucking barbarian. But yeah, I'm 95% sure that covers everything apart from Withers' little final speech of being like, ha, dead free suck.
Yeah. And if Raphael's still alive, he also gets an epilogue.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, we didn't talk about the letters. You get so many letters from basically people who didn't have VAs record lines because they couldn't find them, or it would have been such throwaway lines for so much money.
Yeah, if you're a Dark Urge and you knocked Alfira out, then this is the part where she sends you a letter going, I didn't understand it at the time, but I do now. Thank you so much, and I never want to see you again. Yeah,
you still get a letter from her if you saved her, obviously. You also get one from Lacrissa, I want to say is her name.
Sounds about right.
The other one, basically, saying that, hey, I saved up all that money from that bar gig, and now Alfira's got a proper bard school.
Yeah.
Just cementing that relationship.
You get one from Nine Fingers of, oh yeah, so I couldn't very well leave the gate because otherwise someone would sit on my chair. But here, there's there's a scary amount of barrels of wine that didn't get reported as missing when the upper city got destroyed and rebuilt. So I wonder where they went. And it's the very barrels on which all the letters are placed.
Yeah, you get a few. I believe you get one from Isabel as well. If you help the Emperor, you get a letter from the Emperor, and the Emperor just straight up admits that what he's doing now is just hiding and doesn't want to come out of hiding, but he appreciates the offer and is glad that you still consider him a friend.
Yeah, you get one from Voss if you've got Orpheus.
Okay, go
on. And it's just again, it's another thank you, but it's basically nothing that Lae'zel hasn't already been able to say to you in person or in astral projection.
How Sin, we didn't talk about Halsin. When he's in your party, in your camp, he's whittled you a little wooden duck.
Oh,
Yeah, and he gives it to you, and he's like, you've been a good friend to me, and this isn't much, but he told you really early on in the game he likes to whittle. And,
yeah, he likes to whittle. He likes bears, but when he's whittling, he likes ducks.
Yeah, and he whittled you a little duck, and he gives it to you, and you're like, I believe one of the dialogue options is like, this is useless, why would you do this? And I don't know why you'd pick that.
Oh man, yeah, why would you pick that?
I just picked fucking, oh yeah, you're a bro Halsin. And he really was in my game, like, he was my MVP in that boss fight, the end one.
Yeah, sweet. Sweet.
Like, I much prefer the owlbear form to the elemental forms.
Yeah. Plus you get it on every subclass as well.
And you get to use it twice instead of once.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Like, the air elemental is good, because you can stun things with it, and it hits things 3 times.
But I can also just summon a genie.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Why not both?
Because I prefer the owlbear. We just went over this.
Yeah, but like you can summon the genie and be the wild shape.
Yes, and wild shape as an owlbear.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like, fucking, Halsin's cool. I wish you could cuddle him regardless of your relationship status with him, because he seems like a guy who's up for a cuddle.
Especially as a bear.
Well, I meant as him. Like.
Yeah.
But anyway, the reason why I brought that up is we're talking about the letters, and I'm pretty sure you get one from Korga.
Okay.
But I might be misremembering. I know you get one from Arabelle. Arabella? What's her fucking name?
Yeah, Arabella, the one who's very definitely going to be in the next game.
Here's the thing, as I don't trust anyone to do the next game apart from Larian, and we know Larian's not doing it.
Yeah, as things stand at least.
Like, the only company I'd trust is maybe Owlcat.
Yeah.
If they got another studio to do the graphics.
Oh, yeah, because, okay, Owlcat do games well, but their graphical style is, leagues behind what Larian have been able to do, even with Original Sin 2.
Agree, except Original Sin 2 is very stylized.
Sure.
But I get what you're saying. It's very bare bones with Owlcat, because Owlcat isn't about the visuals, it's about the story and it's about the mechanics. Owlcat does really good video game tabletop games.
Sure. Yeah, they're good at translating what the tabletop game is to a virtual way.
Like Baldur.
If there is a game to translate, because I think the Rogue Trader one, they just made their own system.
No, Rogue Trader exists.
Does it exist as that? Okay, fair enough.
I believe they didn't use the Rogue Trader mechanics. I think they used the Inquisitor mechanics, but changed it to Rogue Trader because Inquisitors are broken.
Sure.
But 40K and Warhammer Fantasy have had a rebrand and rebuild of their tabletop games. They just don't get advertised very well in Games Workshop because they can't sell you minis with them.
Yeah. You can the amount that you can do with Theatre of the Mind means that it's not a marketable thing for them, so they don't market it. Except when Inquisitor was new for the first time, and you got these massive models that look cool.
It was such a cool concept. Anyway, we digress. I think we're done. I think we've finally put a bow around Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, so I guess we get to our final 3. So from the MSQ finale and final stretch of Baldur's Gate 3, do you have a favourite moment?
Yeah, my favourite moment was, even though I much preferred my good run, it's going to be a Dark Urge moment, and that is the outright broing out Gortash has when he realises that you're still alive, combined with the fact that, oh my god, Gortash's offer was legitimate.
Yeah.
How many games do that?
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you get something from the villain, you're probably going to get stabbed in the back, and this is like pretty much the only time that you don't get stabbed in the back, it seems.
Like, for real. Again, I'm going to harken back to Dragon Age. I think Dragon Age Origins technically kind of does it with Loghain, but also kind of doesn't.
Yeah, because when Loghain joins you, like, it doesn't feel as sincere as it ends up being in the future. But like, once you get to him in Inquisition and with a recruited Loghain, he says, yes, I've essentially given the last 10 years of my life to the Grey Wardens. I've like grown to respect them and all that.
It's like his dialogue in that is literally, for fuck's sake, I'm over it.
Yeah.
But even then, you still have to fight Loghain, even if he capitulates, because he doesn't capitulate. He just goes, clearly Lalan's meat is against me, so let's just duel then. And it's like, fucking motherfucker, whatever. But yeah, I think that's definitely it for me. What about you? What's your favourite moment?
my one is also on the Dark Urge run, is when you reject Baal and he kills you on the spot, removing all of himself that made you, leaving very little behind. However, what little behind there is enough for Withers to resurrect an entire person.
Yeah, which is why Rivers is definitely Jurgle.
Yeah. The fact that you've crafted enough of a soul around yourself and your companions to turn against one of the ultimate evils in the setting, I think it speaks to your player character's character and the person that they have become. And I think it's a really great way to cap off that character's heel face turn, even if it's just the beginning of a incredibly long road to redemption after all the shit the Dark Urge has done before the game.
But here's the thing, Rick, is like I get you, and I'm totally with you. I think that's a badass moment. I should really try and do a Redemption Dark Urge run just to experience it myself. That out the way, I think something to really keep in mind is, don't forget, the reason why Dark Urge has lost so many memories isn't because of the parasite. He's literally had chunks of his brain scooped out, and those memories don't exist. And it becomes a moral question of, if your character doesn't remember doing the acts and doesn't have the same motivation to continue doing said acts, are they even the same person to begin with? We're not going to get into that debate now, obviously, because looking at the timer, we've been recording for 2 hours pre-edit, so obviously we don't want to have a massive philosophical discussion right now, but it is something to bear thinking about. Like, it's arguable that once the Dark Urge has had that part of his brain scooped, but essentially lobotomized, and then had the rest of Baal expelled from him, it's arguable he's not even the same person that Baal birthed in the first place. Yeah.
Because at that point, it even says the urge is gone.
Yeah.
For the first time, you're... it's not the first time ever, but for the first time since the Emperor took you to the astral plane, you don't hear the urge, you don't feel the urge. Your brain is finally quiet, and your crimes are finally your own.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those where I think it's understated a bit that if you're a resistant Dark Urge, you've got a constant need to satisfy a bloodlust, which isn't conveyed because they can't really convey it without stopping the game every 5 seconds. They only convey it in those certain moments where, like, when you meet I've forgotten the bard's name, my apologies.
Alfira.
When you meet Alfira, it cuts away after every bit of dialogue, and the narrator does a really good job with the sinister tone she takes of, she's so sickeningly sweet, how beautiful it would feel to wrap your fingers around her neck and snap.
Yep.
But you just got to remember that that's going through your mind every single time you encounter anyone.
Yeah, it's just intrusive thoughts, the character.
Yeah, I think Isabel's is the most interesting because it's like something in your blood literally burns with the need to see her life snuffed out.
Yeah, and when Sceleritas comes and says, "Oh yeah, kill her," you can even go, "But that will kill everyone at last light." And he goes, "Oh yes, very very well calculated, my lady."
Yeah, and obviously if you continue to refuse, he goes, "Fine, don't kill her. Instead, kill the person you love."
Yeah, and you can go, deception. Yeah, I love Halcyon instead. And he goes, "Ho, ho, my lady, I've seen you canoodling." But yes, we can't always talk about our favourites. We have to talk about the weakest link as well. What's your weakest link?
Weakest link is the bad ending, the evil ending. Sorry, it's not bad, it's evil. The evil ending is not fleshed out yet. The only saving grace is we know that something is coming. We just don't know what. I'm going to give it to that because I think it's worse than the second place, and I don't want to bog down the episode even further by going into that. So, is there anything you've got to add on the evil ending aspect?
Well, I don't think that the evil ending is that satisfying, just because you know what the Absolute does, and you know how it works. I don't see any character that I've played enjoying sitting on top of that throne of worms.
Okay, but you're meant to be evil if you do that ending.
Yeah,
so...
yeah, but okay, yeah, being evil is all well and good, but like... it's still gross.
Yeah, but you're evil. Your goal is to either control or destroy. That's why you're evil. And the best ways of controlling and destroying is everything is already so malleable because they're already under your control because of the worm.
Yeah.
Like, again,
yeah.
I don't like the evilness. I did it because it was more content to enjoy, but, like, it's evil. Like, it's in the name. I just want to see it expanded upon. I want to see that the companions that got you that throne are at least spared the fate, even if you're a rush for a bowl. Maybe they won't be, but it's it's important that Larian has said that they are going to expand on it a bit, because at the moment all you get is a cutscene that says "in the name of Baal" or "in my name," and everyone looks a bit worried. And that's about it, which is very lackluster. After, granted, if you did a Dark Urge run or a straight up Psychopath run, if you prefer, you're well under 30 hours, whereas a good run where you're completing a lot of stuff, you're talking 45 plus.
Yeah. I think both my regular save files are like 60 plus.
My Dark Urge run is like 28 hours, and I was like, fuck me, that's fast.
Yeah. When you know where to go, it's a lot quicker.
Yeah, but also I'm just killing so many things where normally I'd have a chat.
True enough.
But yeah, what about you, Rick? What's your weakest link from...
It's, my weakest link is the characterization of the Emperor at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've only ever turned on him because, okay, Lae'zel might not be everyone's favourite character, but the fact is, if you've gotten this far with her, you're probably doing the Orpheus route.
Here's the thing, Rick. The only reason on my good run that I didn't free Orpheus is because I couldn't find the House of Hope.
You couldn't find it, okay.
Yeah, so I was just like, fuck it, I want to see the ending. Sorry, Lae'zel. And
well, even then, like you get offered the hammer straight away.
Yeah, but I wasn't signing my soul over for that.
Well, your soul is kind of a intermediary.
So not even my soul. I wasn't giving him the crown over that because, again, I didn't know you could get into the House of Hope so easily. So I was like, I'm not giving you the crown because you and the crown is bad news for me. Obviously, hang on, let me finish. In hindsight, there's no downside apart from the fact you piss off Gale. However, I obviously didn't know that at that time. At the time, it just seemed like a bad trade.
Yeah, I mean, he just promised that he's not going to use the crown in the mortal plane.
Yeah, but he doesn't do that until you get the contract out. And he never got to that stage with me, because I was like, I'm not dealing with you, devil.
Sure.
Also, I had Karlak in my party telling him to piss off, and I was like, yeah, Karlak, you tell him. I literally the meme of me standing behind Karlak and Karlak going, he said no pickles.
Yeah. Man, I don't know who's a better he said no pickles out of Karlak or Minthara.
Honestly, 4 out of the 5 women are good options. Like Jaheira, yes. Minthara, yes. Lae'zel, yes. Karlak, yes. Shadowheart, you'd be the one having to stick up for her because she likes to put up on the front, but she's such a fucking pussycat.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the Emperor just being completely intractable and not malleable when, like you said, the very second after he leaves, Orpheus goes, oh yeah, shit, we need a mind flayer.
Yeah, again, I could see the Emperor's reasoning. I really could. Like, after all these years, there's no way Orpheus is forgiving me. And perhaps there was a chance that Orpheus wouldn't have forgiven him. But I think Orpheus showed that by the fact that he's willing to become a mind flayer himself, that weirdly, despite being the giffest of giff Yankees, he is quite flexible when it comes to strategy.
Yeah. Like, I think the way that the Emperor could have swung it is by saying to Orpheus that if he forgives this, then he'll fight with him against Blackith. But, like, it doesn't seem to be within the Emperor's wheelhouse of wanting to do that, so I understand not wanting to do that, but it just feels lazy at the end and rushed at the end. But oh well.
It's the fact that his entire fight up until this point has to be not become enslaved by the Elder Brain again. And then the moment you free Orpheus, he's like, I guess I'm just going to become a slave again, so fuck it. Fuck you guys. He does a real Cartman.
Yeah, screw you guys, I'm going home. But yes, we like to end on a high note. Do you have an MVP?
It's tough. It's real tough. And it's not tough because there's no standout because they're all shit. It's tough because there's no standout because there's just so many examples you can point to. I think I'm gonna really cop out. I'll give it to Withers, but honestly, it's just the party as a whole, man.
Now, that's exactly what I'm picking as well. Like, and it's because of the finale post-game party.
Yes, if that didn't exist, then I wouldn't have said Withers.
Yeah, because it's Withers' party.
Yeah.
He's brought you all back for it, and if it weren't for him, then you wouldn't have all been gathered again. Just like Shadowheart says, how difficult should it be? But and yeah, he tosses you into the eternity if you fuck it up for him. You've spoiled my party. Be gone.
Ralph Poutine, leave my home. That's all I can think of.
Oh boy. No.
But But yeah, it's if you're a redemption Dark Urge as well, like he does provide the most badass moment.
Yeah, because it's like, you're trying to use this power on someone that I like? Well, I gave you that power, and I'm taking your resolution away.
I have altered the deal. Pray I do not alter it further.
Yeah. So yeah, a double MVP to Withers.
/ Jurgle, really.
Yeah. So, if you liked the video, you've got the comment section down below on YouTube. And if you're listening by one of the many audio platforms, the email is
nonsensereviewuk@gmail.com.
Yeah, so, give us your comments, give us your thoughts. What did you think of Baldur's Gate 3?
Yes, and
what do you think we should tackle next?
I was just going to say that. What should we tackle next as a deep dive? Because we're already doing Dragon Age Origins, if you've not, which, we've compared this game to for the last stretch for obvious reasons.
Yeah. Dragon Age obviously being BioWare's first thing since losing the D&D license.
Yeah, and again, we said it in our first episode, but boy, after playing a bit of D&D, you can really feel the D&D in Dragon Age.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, you can also... How fitting is it that we're ending Baldur's Gate 3 and saying, look at our Dragon Age Origins when Dragon Age New has just been announced properly?
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it's now been changed from Dreadwolf to Veilguard.
We'll talk about that on the review. Bye, guys.
Ta-ra.